Okay, so now I'm recording. So, yeah, I apologize for the first attempt. Did anybody try to get into the video conference on Monday?
No,
No. Okay.
I couldn't make Monday.
Okay. So, what we're going to be doing in the future is we're going to be having these video conferences periodically. Pretty much every time there's an assignment, we'll have a video conference, so you can ask questions and we can discuss what to do so you're all clear. And also I'll be recording them also, so for future viewing, although the quality is really poor, but at least to give you an idea. So first of all, here's our site. You can notice these are called the modules. Do you see where I'm pointing with the mouse? Can you see that? Can someone answer me? Do you see where I'm pointing?
I do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So these are the learning objectives, general information overview, Q&A, etc. Required readings. So here are the books you need to purchase, right? Which are these books here, 3 books. Mexican Muralism, Diego Rivera, My Art, My Life, and The Heart of the Mission. These are the 3 books we're going to be using. And then articles from Mexican Muralists and articles from Art and Revolution. And these 2 will be available as PDFs, so you don't need to buy those books. So you can download them. I'm sorry?
Which 2 books were you saying we don't have to buy?
The ones right here, Mexican Muralists, that's a PDF. Okay. And Art and Revolution.
Okay.
So you need to buy the 3 books, Mexican Muralism, My Art, My Life, and In the Heart of the Mission. Those are the 3 books you need to buy.
When is our first assignment due?
I'm sorry?
When is our first assignment due?
Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. And then here's some articles. So here's section 1. So if you look, this is the first module. So we had our orientation. We have an orientation meeting. So the first thing you're going to do is on August 26th, who are you? Introduce yourself to the class. So that's a really easy one. So I just want you to introduce yourself to the class. And the second assignment is to answer this discussion question. What were some of the influences on the revolutionary artists of Mexico? And to write a 2-page on the influence of the Communist Manifesto on Mexican art. Okay? So those are the 2 assignments that are due on September 2nd. So what we're going to do is next week, we're going to have another video conference, and we'll discuss this assignment in detail, because I'm assuming that many of you haven't finished the week's reading. So I'll give you a little bit of idea about it today, but I think when you do the reading, then this will become clear. So the answers to all of these things that are in here, we'll see. So the first week, is that clear what you need to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so you answer the discussion, right? So you post on the discussion, and then you turn in the assignment. So let's look what the discussion looks like. So you click on here, and here's the question. Here's a couple people have already answered, and that's it.
Is it based off the readings we're going to start to read?
Yeah, it's based on the readings.
Reading.
Yeah.
The first question.
Yeah, for all the questions, everything in the class is based on the readings. There's no trick here, and all the readings that you're going to need are supplied here, except for your research paper. You might need for your research paper, you might need additional readings. So you'll read what are the influences on some of the influences on the revolutionary artists of Mexico. In the readings, it talks all about this. we're talking about the Mexican Revolution was an influence, the events of the Mexican Revolution, the forces that were unleashed. We could see the Russian Revolution was a big influence.
Turn off the water and soak up your
So
body.
can you turn off your mic, who's ever talking in there?
Yeah.
Somebody has their mic on? Okay. I just turned them off. Okay, so so you'll discuss those things. We could look at aesthetic influences, artistic influences, political influences, cultural influences. So is this clear? So then for section 2, you'll go down. So first you'll look at readings and videos. So here's the books you're going to read. Look at this site. Here's the chapters you're going to read. Here's videos. Okay, is that clear? And then,
Yes.
yeah, then you're going to, here's an overview of section 2. This is something that, that just gives you an idea of, oops, sorry. I'm mousing with my left hand. Ah, sorry. Ah, it keeps going to the wrong thing. So we'll see the overview of section 2, and this is just a narrative that talks about the things that we talk about here, and you'll see some more links. So is this clear? Then we'll have the discussion, and you notice that the dates here, that the first discussion is September 9th, the second one is September 16th, and then the second assignment. Okay, and then section 3, the same thing. We have the discussions, three discussions, and section 4, and we have the midterm on October 14th. So each time there's an assignment, we'll have a video conference like this to talk about the assignment, to summarize the readings, and to talk about the assignment. Then the week after, we'll see one of the assignments is creating a mini mural. And you'll post that here to share it with others, and here for a grade. Then we're going to talk about, here we're talking about Cuba on October 15th. We're going to begin talking about Cuba. Then the Nicaraguan Revolution, the Zapatistas, and the impact of revolutionary art, of Latin American revolutionary art, Latino art in the United States. And this is where we'll start reading in the heart of the mission. We're also going to have a field trip, an optional field trip. I'll put the date on here. So we can go look at these murals and look at some of these places that they're talking about in the book. And this is optional. If you can't make it, that's fine. It's just if you want to go. Now, one thing I want to tell you is I also teach a lecture class with the same material on Monday nights at 6:40 p.m. to 9:30 at Art X 182 on the City College campus. And you're welcome whenever you want to attend. If you want to hear a lecture, if you want to interact with other students, if you want to just meet with me personally, then that's a way to do it. You're welcome at any time to just show up.
Sorry, what time did it start? Or what time did
At 6:40. And I'll send this out in an email. It's at 6:40 p.m. to 9 o'clock, and it's a lecture class, and we sit there and we talk about the same things we're talking about here on the website and discussing the readings, looking at videos. We argue a lot. And if the online class is too restrictive, you're welcome to come to the lectures. And that's fine. You don't have to ask permission or anything, just show up. And I'll send out the information so you have it.
And can you repeat which room exactly it's in?
Yeah, Art X, the Art Extension, 182.
Okay, thank you.
Send that out. And we're there every Monday night, except for Labor Day, which is September 3rd, I think, which is a holiday. So, and I'll send you also the list of lectures, so you know what we're talking about on what day. And that class is fun because we argue a lot. There's some students are very outspoken and they like to argue with me, so it makes it way more interesting. So some of the things about the class. So in this class began really as an activist class. It began in 2007 when a group of faculty, again, the Pan American Unity mural painted by Diego Rivera that is at the Diego Rivera Theater has been there since 1960. And it was very much neglected and overlooked, and a group of faculty got together in the 1990s and began a committee to try to promote the mural, to do research about it, to open up access. We created a docent program and opened the doors. Used to be that people couldn't get in to see it, and they'd be chasing around the police and the janitors to let them in. And now it's open, has regular hours, and there are docents there who can explain about the mural, students mostly like yourselves. And we began a campaign to promote the mural and to learn more about it. And one day, one of Diego Rivera's daughters, Guadalupe Rivera Marin, the daughter of Lupe Marin, who was married, was Rivera's second wife, came to the mural and met with this group of faculty. And she was arguing, she was saying, what's wrong with you people? You have a school, you have all these students, you have this mural, and there's no class about the mural. You know, what's wrong with you? So I raised my hand and said, well, I'll teach this class. And she said, fine, well, come to Mexico and I'll help you prepare. So I went to Mexico and she helped me prepare. I met a bunch of people that she recommended, interviewed people, went to museums, bought books, went to lectures, etc., and tried to prepare myself. I viewed a lot of these murals and talked to a lot of scholars about it, learned some of the backstory, and then came here and began teaching this class. So the class began in 2007. Of course, there wasn't enough money. So City College didn't have the budget to have the class. So we decided to try to raise the money. And one of the deans, when Macy's called to use the Frida picture in the mural for the Flower Day, Macy's Flower Day campaign, he said, well, you can fund this class and then we'll let you use the picture. So they said, well, we can't do that. We can't fund the class, but what we can let you do is we can have a benefit in the fancy furniture department. And what people do is they invite rich people who drink wine and eat hors d'oeuvres and sit on the fancy furniture. And you can use that money to finance the class. So what happened was Guadalupe Rivera Marini had just written a cookbook called Frida's Fiestas, based on the recipes she had learned from Frida Kahlo when she was a teenager. And her and the culinary students at City College prepared all the foods that were in there, a bunch of hors d'oeuvres and different foods. We got wine, we invited rich people, they came and they ate and drank, sat on the furniture, and we funded the class. So this is how it began, and it's been going on for over 10 years now. So what we're going to do in the class is explore the work of the revolutionary artists of Mexico, the Mexican muralist movement, women painters, um, the arguments and discussions that went on, the impact of the international impact of the movement, how they were able to tie into an educational program. Also, we're going to look at different political currents within the mural movement, different aesthetic currents, artistic currents, to try to understand what was going on. In addition to this, we're going to look at the Cuban Revolution, again, of the Cuban Revolution of 1959, and the art movement that was sparked by that, and how the art movement was impacted by the revolution and the revolution by art. Again, what the impact was. We're going to look at, now, one of the things we're going to do in class that we're not able to do online is we're going to talk about music. We're going to explore the music because I don't have the rights to use the music in the course, to post it on a website, but I can do it in class. So we're going to be talking about the music of Mexico and the music of Cuba, something that will be hard to do online. So that's something you could come see if you want, come visit the class. After that, we're going to be looking at the Nicaraguan Revolution, the 1980s, and the art movement that was sparked by that, and especially the work of Ernesto Cardenal and the primitivist painters. After that, we're going to look at the Zapatista uprising of 1994, the Zapatista movement, and then we're going to spend the last part of the class looking at the art movement that grew in the mission in the 1960s and 70s, and onwards. How many of you are any of you from the mission or live in the mission or know that area? So if you do, I think you'll be shocked to learn the history and to kind of know the history of these places and what went on there. And you'll be also proud to know about a lot of the things that went on. So Carrie Cordova's book that we're going to be reading, In the Heart of the Mission, is a very brilliant analysis of that art movement, and it also explores the relationship between art and politics that we're going into in this class. So the assignments that we're going to have, let's look at the assignments again. Here there. So we have the discussions that are every week. We have two essays, two two-page essays, or actually three two-page essays. The one due on September 2nd, two-page essay on the influence of the Communist Manifesto on Mexican art. Describe the narrative in one of Rivera's murals, due on the 16th. We have the midterm on October 14th, which is just a series of questions based on the readings. A mini mural that you're going to post here, and a 5-page research paper, and there'll be one short essay about the heart of the mission, about the art of the mission district that I haven't posted on here yet, and a final exam. So those are the assignments. So anybody have any questions about any of that? About anything in the class and how you post things?
I just have a question on like office hours and getting to talk to you like in person if I needed to like just clarify something, because I like to be able to like see you in person when I talk and stuff.
Yeah, I have office hours on Mondays from 5:20 to 6:20 in Science 186, or by appointment. I live in the East Bay, so I'm not in San Francisco all the time, but I'm also available through video chat. So
Okay.
Either way, you can meet me personally there, or we can arrange some other time. If you're in the East Bay, we could meet at a coffee shop or something, or we can video chat at any time. That's really easy. You just tell me you want to video chat with me at whatever time, and boom, we'll be chatting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can also email me any question, and it might seem dumb to you, but I'm sure if you have doubt that everybody else does too, it's maybe something that I didn't make clear. So feel free to contact me. I'm happy to answer your questions. and to get your feedback. And I appreciate you reaching out. So if you have any kind
Okay.
of, let me know. You know, I'm here to help you. I want you to all succeed in this class. There's no trick questions. Everything is very, very clear. I've taught this class now for 10 years, so I've had a lot of experience doing it. And anything that I could do to help you, I will. I want you to succeed. I want you to do well. So let me just tell you, anybody have anything else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So on the page you're screening right now, it has the upcoming ones, the upcoming assignments that are due, the who are you, and the other question, I don't remember which one it is. But I clicked on the calendar, and on the 26th it says another question is due, and I'm not sure if that one is, yeah, it's on the 26th.
Maybe you're seeing something else. Anyway, I'll fix it. The only ones that are there due are those.
Okay, because it says the how did Mexican artists define themselves as workers, and how did this
Yeah,
occur?
I'll take that off. I got rid of that question because it was a little bit vague. So I'm going to take that out. Oh,
Right.
that you mean, yeah. Yeah, so I'll take that out. But really what you have to pay attention to is the modules. What's in the modules? And I'll go through that and take it out. It's hard for me because I'm working with my left hand, and I've made some mistakes that I'm going to go back and fix right now. So thank you for pointing that out. But only pay attention to the ones that are in the modules.
And that's the times that we should go by. So
yeah,
like, okay.
If it's not in the modules, then it's a mistake, and I'll fix it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to put it in student view, and then I'll be able to see it, because I'm seeing what you're looking at now is what I'm seeing is the teacher's view. So I'll put it in student view, and I'll fix those things. Yeah, I couldn't really type for a few days, so I kind of got behind. So I apologize for that. I'll get rid of this right now. So, oh, it looks like some people already responded to it. Anyway, so I don't negate their work. I'll put it back in, so that it'll be there, because some people already responded to it. So in the first week, we'll just call it kind of a trial run. So these discussions, I'll be giving you feedback about if your responses are enough, and if you're on track. So this gives me a way to feel the pulse of the class, of where you are and how you're understanding the readings. So just try to put as much as you can. Don't be skimpy with the details. And I'll give you feedback that, yeah, this is really good. You're on the right track. Oh, you forgot to mention this. You forgot this. Maybe look at this, clarify this, things like that. So I'll try to give you helpful guidance in case you're missing something. So is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. So let me explain who I am, why I'm teaching this class, and why you should even be interested in what I'm saying. I grew up in San Francisco, and when I was 5, my family went to Cuba in 1960. So I visited Cuba 1 year after the revolution. I was only 5 years old. But what was interesting is that I met people in Cuba when I was 5 that I still know today. So I've had a long relationship with Cuba. I went there again in 1968. My father was a filmmaker, and he made a film about Fidel Castro. And we ended up spending a year there, and I was put in the National Art School, where I stayed in the boarding school. So a lot of these things that we're reading about and talking about are things that I've experienced. My mother is a Colombian American poet, and my father is a Jewish filmmaker, so I'm mixed culturally, and grew up here in San Francisco, and went to Mission High School. And at Mission High School,
That's where I went.
yeah, good, go Bears.
I just
So
graduated from there.
yeah, so I graduated probably way before you did, but uh, I became politically active there. This was during the Vietnam War, and there was a lot of tension and students protesting and people protesting all over the Third World strikes. And I began playing music at Mission High School, working in Latin
What
rock
did you play?
band, guitar. So in after graduating from high school, I decided I wanted to be a musician, and I went on the road with a singer from the group Malo, and we toured all over Canada and California and different places. And I began enjoying the music, playing music, but I realized that I wanted to do more. And I started at UC Berkeley and began studying sociology and Latin American studies. And I realized as I was playing music and studying these things that I was missing something. I felt that I was missing something in the music, that there were messages in the music that I wasn't understanding. There were things. I was playing in salsa bands and playing in clubs while I was going to school, and I felt like I'm missing the meaning in the music, and I need to figure that out. So I began um, following a professor there at UC Berkeley, a Brazilian folklorist named Paulo de Carvalho Neto, who wrote a book called El Folclore de las Luchas Sociales, the folklore of social struggles, which was a methodology for studying Latin American popular culture and for dissecting and finding the hidden political messages in these works. But I was a freshman and I couldn't take his classes because he taught graduate classes. And he told me, you're too ignorant for me to even talk to you because you haven't done the basic readings and you don't understand the concepts that I'm talking about. So it's going to be hard to deal with you. So you need to do a lot of reading. And I did. I went to the library. He showed me a bunch of books. You need to look at these books. And I noticed that the books about Latin American culture, he took me to the Bancroft Library, probably one of the biggest libraries in the world. And we look at the section on Latin American culture, and there's this many books. There's like 20 books. Well, how is it that there's so few books where the Greek culture and Scandinavian culture, there's whole rooms full of books? Why are there so few books? And he says, well, that's the reason I was exiled from Brazil, because it's very dangerous that governments don't want people writing books about Latin American culture, because Latin American culture talks about resistance, about revolution, about exploitation, all these different things, and they don't want people turning over those rocks. So it's very dangerous to write these books, and that's why you don't see very many of them. So finally I was able to take classes with him and kind of follow this path of looking for the hidden meanings in Latin American culture, the way Latin American culture becomes a source of resistance that feeds, again, in resistance movements, many times in a clandestine way. And we can see that after so many years of colonialism and then living in dictatorships and military governments, that cultural expression is one of the only forms that people in Latin America could use to express themselves freely, that there was no free speech in any Latin American country until very recently. So anyway, in 1979, I graduated from UC Berkeley, and I had been active in the Nicaraguan Solidarity Movement, a movement that supported a resistance against the dictatorship in Nicaragua, against the Somoza dictatorship. And I began working with the Sandinistas in the Mission District, young Nicaraguans that were organizing against the dictatorship. And in 1979, their guerrilla army defeated Somoza, and the Sandinistas rolled triumphantly into Managua. And 3 days later, I get a telegram inviting me to work in the newly founded Ministry of Culture of Nicaragua. Because I had known a lot of people from Nicaragua who were active in the movement when they were in exile in San Francisco. And here I was, a recently graduated sociology student And I went and began working in the Ministry of Culture of Nicaragua with Father Ernesto Cardenal, who we're going to be reading about. And about a year later, I joined a band, Luis Enrique Mejia Godoy and Mancotal, which was probably the most prominent political music group in Nicaragua. And with them, I toured all over Latin America, Argentina twice, Uruguay twice, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, Belize, Salvador, Guatemala, Cuba, Jamaica, all through Europe, and participating in festivals and conferences about Latin American culture. So I did this for 9 years, and I also worked at Radio Sandino as a radio programmer and began producing records. And then in 1989, I came back to the United States to go to graduate school, and I got my degree, my doctorate in communication at UC San Diego. And meanwhile, while I was working on my dissertation, I began working as a record producer in the Bay Area to pay my bills. Began producing records, and in 1995, I scored a hit, and one of my records was nominated for a Grammy, had big sales, and I decided to abandon academia for a minute and be a rock star, and began producing records. The next year, I produced another record that was nominated for a Grammy, that was also a hit, and began that path. And I was hired by Warner Brothers and went to Peru to record Susana Baca, an Afro-Peruvian singer. And after working for Warner Brothers, I realized how ugly the music industry was and decided to go back to academia and began teaching at UC Santa Cruz and at San Francisco City College. And this is what I've been doing ever since. I've been producing records, continuing to make records. I've produced over 100 CDs, maybe 20 film scores, now have 8 Grammy nominations, and still active in the music and in academia. So I'm teaching right now at UC Santa Cruz and here. So this keeps my mind fresh and keeps me going. And the music is, again, my creative passion. And I've worked on a lot of films as music supervisor or composer. I worked with Benjamin Bratt on the film La Misión. I was the music supervisor and composer. The Other Barrio, and a bunch of other films and TV shows. So that's who I am. I just want to let you know so you can see that a lot of this is reflected of what we're studying are things that are reflected in my experience. The film we're going to see about the Zapatistas, the Sixth Sun, Mayan Uprising in Chiapas, was made by my father. The voice that you're going to hear in some of the interviews, the interviewer is me, interviewing people. I've participated in that film and several of the other films that we're going to see. So that's who I am. You can count on me for advice, for help at any time. If you feel lost, don't give up. Just reach out. We'll fix it. We'll do it. The answers are here in the readings, in the text, in the videos. So don't despair. So any questions before we close up?
I do have one more question.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to make the video on Monday, so I'm
Right.
happy that you did the video again today. But
Yeah.
if I, in the future, I'm not able to make this video chat, what is it like? Would I get points deducted or
No.
what I did?
It's totally optional, and I'm recording it so you can watch it later.
Okay.
Yeah, you can watch it later. And if you have any questions or doubts, you can also just video chat with me one-on-one.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that helps in a class like this. You're way out there and I'm way out here, but one click of a button and we're talking like this, right?
Yeah, okay.
So it's really easy. You go to the Confer Zoom on the left-hand side. Let me scroll over to that. See this Confer Zoom? That's where that's where the video conferences are. Also, you can just email me. Hey, can we video chat? Also, my phone number is there. You can call me on the phone and I'll answer it.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways to contact me, and so one other thing, late assignments. Let's say you have something that gets in the way of you completing your assignment. What do? You can panic, or you can just let me know. I need an extension on my assignment. That's all I need to know. You don't have to explain the details. You can just say you need an extension, and I'll say okay. So if you turn in the assignment later, that's fine. But I need you to check in with me so I know that you're continuing to work. Or else I'll see that you're just somebody who's slacking, and you'll probably get dropped from the class. So if you have something that comes up, let me know, and we can work it out. I can give you this an extension on the assignments. But if you just stop participating, you'll get dropped because it'll look like you're not doing anything or that you gave up. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else? Okay, the books are on reserve at the Rosenberg Library. You can check them out. There's several copies. I think there's a 4-day, a 2-day, and a 1-day. There's several copies of the books. If you're having trouble getting them, let me know, and we'll look for other options. But there's a lot of options here. So, okay, so I'm going to end the recording and say goodnight.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you all for doing this, and I